I think it's actually not a fail. I think it's a win because I helped other people to not fail like I did, right? And I learned something from that fail. So it's not a true failure.
All right, imagine this. A party for dentistry. A party for inspiring youth. A registered dental hygienist with his baseball cap sideways and tattoos and a tank top on, mixing music, DJing, and bringing down the house with inspiration and motivation. I'm talking about Elijah Desmond. He is phenomenally inspirational in terms of the great he does for youth and for the dental community, but his message is so inspirational, and that is stepping into your truth. In this episode, he shares with us how this has been a superpower in business and how he has used his own stepping into his own truth to find fulfillment and happiness in his life. And he shares with us his motto for life and for business and for work, and why he retired right after college and what retirement means to him. I can't wait for you to meet Elijah Desmond. He is the CEO of, what was it called? Smiles at Sea. And he's created the Dental Festival, which is taking off right now. He has so many exciting ventures ahead of him. And really, his outlook and his perspective on life and on business and on the dental world is so inspirational. I know you're going to get a lot out of this interview. Please join me in welcoming Elijah Desmond. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and today we have with us an incredibly exciting guest. I cannot wait for you to meet Elijah Desmond as he introduces us to his world, which is on fire. I'm so excited to learn more about what he does. Let me not introduce him myself. He is a motivational speaker. He's an author. He is a CEO of multiple companies, one of which is Smiles at Sea, which many of you might know him for. But let's do him the honor and let him introduce himself. Welcome, Elijah.
Hey, thank you so much, Taryn, for having me come to the show. And Happiness is my middle name. It's actually Christopher, but I like to go by Happiness. There's been parts of my 2-year journey in the last 2 years that I wasn't so happy whenever we had to make the pivot, but so happy now. And I like to spread happiness and kindness more than anything. So I guess a super quick high level intro. I am a proud father and husband of 2 little girls, 2-year-old and 6-year-old. Everybody's sick right now, but me, thank goodness. I went to school, graduated from Ohio State University as a dental hygienist. I tested into school early at 15 years old, and I stopped practicing after about a year full time as I realized that I wanted to spread my wings in the world of entrepreneurship and leadership. I am now 20 businesses in, graduated in 2009, failed miserably on 4 of those businesses. I've acquisitioned some of those businesses, and you learn way more on the failures than you do the success stories, right?
Always.
and now I spend a lot of my time just mentoring and helping people. 90% of what I do is give to the industry and give to others, and 10% I monetize on. I don't do anything unless I love it. My why is changing kids' lives and saving kids' lives from the stage. And when I say saving, I'm a motivational speaker, and I talk through the microphone with authentic stories that happened to me. And I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to tell my stories. Some of them are really, really good, and some of them are deep, dark. And I just tell it what it is. And a lot of people can relate because I'm real and I don't fake it. And after I get off stage, I have these kids in line wanting to shake my hand or give me a hug. And sometimes you get those hugs that they don't let go. Yeah. And they keep hugging for a long time. Those are the grippy hugs. And their life is changing, and there's these goosebumps and there's tears that come out. And oftentimes these kids will tell me that they were going home to commit suicide that night, or that I changed their life and they didn't feel special, or they didn't feel that they were normal. And I told them that they were, and it's worth living. And and it's my why. It's why I was here. That's why I was put on this earth. And that's why I'm on this earth. And I happen to have a lot of fun with all of my businesses and make a ton of people happy. And so I'm happy to be on this podcast. That's the short.
I love it. You touched on something which is absolutely what endeared me to you. And that is the authenticity and the courage to step into your true self, your unique self. And you do that so bravely and beautifully. And you actually speak about it quite a bit. But I was wondering if there was ever a time in your life where you didn't have that comfort with your true authentic self. And if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. It goes back to when I was around 14 or 15 years old, and it's all about finding my identity. And it wasn't that I wasn't being true to myself, it's just I didn't know necessarily who I was. And I think a lot of people, they're not necessarily faking it and trying to fake it. They're just trying to find their way, right? So I was raised in a split household. My parents were divorced, and my mom is white, my dad is black, and they both remarried. And when they remarried, my mom remarried a very well off white man on the farm. And my dad remarried a lady that lived in the projects, black lady lived in the projects. And so like my week would go something like, I would go to school, the all white school, and I was like the only black kid, and I'm mixed, but I'm black. My skin is brown, is yellow as black, right? So, but I would be the only black kid in all white school, and I would wear like Abercrombie or American Eagle, almost like a kid that was a white kid would wear, right?
You stepped into the persona that you needed to do. Yeah.
Yep. Then I would go to my dad's. My dad's family is like super non-judgmental. Like I can wear what I want. Doesn't matter. Then I would go to the projects, and it would be like, I would be made fun of because of what I was wearing or my voice. Like I don't like really speak ghetto at all. I mean, I speak Elijah right now, right? But I have I don't speak, I don't have any ghetto to me at all, right? And so if I don't speak like it and I speak like I'm quote white, you can get made fun of, right? And you stand out. But when you're there for like a couple weeks in the summer or a month, then you start like, man, I kind of like those Jordans, or I kind of like the FUBU shirt. And I will go and buy that. And then I'll go back to my all white school, and I would notice I would pick up a certain dialect, and I would say things that I normally wouldn't say. It wasn't because I was like trying to fit in or be, it was just like who I was becoming. And I would wear the FUBU shirt. And then all of a sudden I'm wearing a FUBU shirt, and I'm like sitting at the lunch table, and I get pulled out a Confederate flag and like waved in my face from, somebody doesn't like my skin color. So I don't want to make this a racial thing at all. So it's not turning into that, but this is how I was. It's crazy because when you're half, it's like, where do you fit in? I didn't know who I was. So I was like trying to fit in, and it was like, like where do I go? And it was a struggle. And then another struggle was I was raised Catholic, and then my dad would go to a church that was Baptist, and they were like hollering, screaming, and singing in tongues. And I would like feel guilty from going there. I'm like, should I go here? Should I go there? Where am I supposed to go?
Yeah.
And so you're like, man, this is getting deeper than I thought.
It's so authentic and true to what you were feeling at the time, which is just this ping ponging between different identities.
Yeah, exactly. And then my biggest asset was I was an athlete. And so I would go to my school, and I was captain of the football team, captain of a wrestling team. And, I was doing major things, and my career got ripped from me. That my face got ripped by, essentially I got injured. I had to get pulled out of that, and it got ripped from me. And so that was my identity, and I got snatched. So then I was like kind of lost again. Right. So here was the moral of all of that was eventually around like 15 or 16 years old. I realized that I had to stop trying to fit in.
Mm.
And I had to just be myself and just realize I have a unique mind. And I realized that the number one risk in life is being yourself. So I like went out and I decided I'm going to create Elijah. I'm going to create what I want. I'm going to dress if I want to wear FUBU on my shirt and American Eagle on my pants. And if I want to wear a flat bill, if I want to wear a curved hat sideways, and if I want to wear I'm going to do me. And the moment that I embraced that I was going to just be me, you know what's crazy? Everybody started accepting me.
Yeah.
When it was before, it was like a struggle to try to fit in. Where do I fit in here? Do I fit in there? And then everybody eventually started loving Elijah for Elijah. And so I learned that really early on, and it allowed me to carry that on to adulthood, where I would be challenged with coloring outside the lines and doing things differently, even in our own industry. And it helped me so much so I can go and help others. And it was something that I learned at 14, 15 years old, and I can speak about it and I can help people, and I help people get through it that are just confused. And it's not always intentional.
Yeah.
You know, they're just trying to find their way. And it's like, stop finding your way, just stop and be yourself.
You know, it's a beautiful story. And I honor you that you figured this out at such a young age, because you and I both know, and so many of our listeners know, so many people in their 40s and 50s that have never been able to identify or get in touch with that authentic self of themselves. And they've always felt like they just either don't fit in or have been fighting to fit in.
Yep. And that's the struggle. That is the exact, it's like not a catch-22, but it's like you're fighting to fit in. But if you stop fighting to fit in, you're going to fit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it's painful. It's so painful. We all just want to be seen, but when you don't know how to stand up and be yourself, it's difficult to be seen for that person.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like, should I like orange or should I like yellow? No. Mix the two together. Like, create your own color. Call it smello. Like, smello is your color. Like, it's different, and you created it. And people don't understand that for a while until you like set an example and show them and speak about it. And I'm not afraid to speak. I could care less if somebody doesn't like what I would say. I'm not saying anything mean. I'll never do anything to hurt anybody or harm anybody. I'm different, and I own it, and I tell everybody about it. So now more people that have this inside them, this feeling of being different, they're like, oh, wow, being different is like kind of cool. Like, it's okay. And people will accept me, and it sets them free. It feels good.
You know, you touched on something there, which is allowing judgment to fall away. And that is one of the scariest things, especially you mentioned in our industry, we're speaking about in dentistry and in business, is that the perception from the outer community and from the business world is very important.
Yes.
We have to put value on that. And yet there's such a more critical value in allowing judgment to fall away. How do you walk that tightrope in business?
Yes. So there's also something called having emotional intelligence as well. Right. And so having the ability to feel what other people feel and having empathy for people is so critical and so important. And so you can be yourself and you can be unique, but you also have to understand how other people feel and understand that people can judge you, but who cares about what people judge you for? But how are you making other people feel? It's super important to be yourself, be unique, but if you're making people feel like crap or you're irritating a whole bunch of people, like you're ticking people off, which is why like I won't get into politics, right? You will never see me post any political thing ever. You will never see me get into any controversial matter ever. I have one motto, and it's be kind to everyone. Kindness will always prevail. I don't care who you stand for, what you do, who you love, what color you are. Kindness is going to always win. And so like that has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. Do I have personal ways that I feel about issues and ways that I feel that my authentic self feels? Absolutely. But does it mean that I need to like spread it if it's controversial and think, no, I don't. I don't need to do that because I have an emotional intelligence and I have self-awareness and know how I'm making other people feel.
Mm.
That's how I deal with that.
There's enormous responsibility in that too, taking ownership and accountability for your actions, but also having the courage to be unique and not have to weigh people's judgments constantly. There's an interesting conversation there and duality between the two.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing that I hear from you is this sense of self-worth that of even though you are extremely unique, and I'm speaking to everyone now, not just you, Elijah, but having enormous self-worth and courage to share that, but the humility of understanding that everybody has that opportunity and that doesn't make you more special than anybody else, but you are so special.
Correct.
That's a hard thing too. And what's interesting to me is you speak to a lot of youth. You mentioned it. So how do you speak to youth in high school and in college and guide them in walking this fine line and in understanding the strengths of those two concepts?
Absolutely. So first off, I'm a part of a vice president of the nonprofit called Beyond the Game.
Mm.
And Beyond the Game is an organization that focuses on two main ages. One is third graders, and the other one is high schools with a college focus as well. And so the way or the how we do that is we actually do something called a motivational concert. And a motivational concert is where we bring together 5 to 10 high schools in one arena or college football field. And if you can imagine everybody being there, all the kids are there, the high schools, and the music drops. And that's my cue to get onto the football field. I run onto the football field and I run onto the stage. And I actually, I'm a DJ as well. And so I get onto my mix table and drop the music and get all the kids fired up. And and then we invite 2 other motivational speakers with us on tour. They come to the stage and they give a half hour of their message of whatever it may be, of whatever that school district is in need of. And after they give their message, they share their message of what they're in need of. Half hour at a time. In between the speakers, I actually play a little bit of music, a couple minutes, then I actually give my message. I have a lot of different messages that to share with the kids. It really matters like what they're in need of. Is it kids that are in an area of depression? Is it kids that are in an area of athletic school? Is it kids that are in an area of social media addiction? I mean, there's so many different topics, and so we basically do that and then offer a scholarship for business or dentistry. And we announce the winner of all 5 schools, and we give a car away to a 16-year-old who got to school early. And so our biggest sponsors are Nike and Sam's Club. And that is how I get into the high schools. And then from the third grade standpoint, a lot of men are young boys rather, are raised in a family without a man present, and they don't have a good role model. So we go into third grade schools and we teach these third graders how to look at someone in the eyes when you are shaking their hand, how to dress nicely, how to treat women with respect, open doors, do the right thing, volunteer, and just, be upstanding citizens. And so we have an entire curriculum that we bring into the schools and teach these third grade men how to be good people. And we also just launched a program called Girls with Pearls, and that's also for third graders as well. And so I'm excited to bring this actually into our industry. And so basically local dentists and hygienists will be able to be that leader that goes into the schools and actually sets the example for these young children at the Girls with Pearls and Guys with Ties program. So that's how I infiltrate the schools. And I'm super proud of it. I'm passionate about it. It's my why as well. Like I said, changing the kids' lives. So
that is really amazing. It just sounds like a party.
Yeah. everything I do is fun and super enjoyable.
That is amazing. I would love to talk about that as well, because it's fascinating how many people have a hard time with play in our industry. We get very focused, high achieving, driven business owners, dentists, and many people in the healthcare professions. We're so good at work. We're so good at knuckling down and putting
Right.
our nose to the grindstone. And after doing that for decades and decades, people forget to play and forget to know what it feels like to be having fun.
Right.
What advice do you have for somebody who's listening to this now and thinking, yeah, I haven't played in 20 years?
I
What
feel
is,
bad.
yeah,
I feel bad for you. I've been
yeah,
playing for 34 years, but it's time to make a change. That's it. That's advice. I mean, listen, there was this word called retirement. I heard about it at a really young age, and I said, I want to do that. Um, and I decided that I would hit retirement as soon as I graduated college, and I did that. Right. I do not believe in retirement. I believe in living a life of retirement. I don't believe in working so hard and not playing hard. I just incorporated retirement immediately. I don't think I'll ever stop working, but I do what I love. So it's not work, number one. I incorporate travel in everything.
because you love it, because you've established that that's something you love.
Because I love it. Right. If I didn't like to get on the plane, I wouldn't go. Yeah, I live in Florida, close to the beach. I live a staycation, right? I, go, but I don't believe in just working around all the time. I have to enjoy what I'm doing, and I have to be on vacation. I have to love it. And so not having fun, to me, I don't see the point of life. I mean, you got to live every day like there's no tomorrow, right? And so a lot of people work their butt off until they're 60 years old. Well, then they're 60 years old and they figure out that they get diagnosed with cancer, or they don't make it to 60 years old. Well, why did you do that? For what? Like, you should have been enjoying yourself the whole time, taking a vacation, once per year. Are you kidding me? You need to enjoy yourself. It's fine. Like, I think that there should be a really good balance of play, and work. And I don't even think it should be work. If you think it's work, then you need to be evaluating what you're doing, right? And even in dentistry, maybe you don't love the specific things you're doing clinically. Do what you love clinically, or explore the other ridiculous amount of options outside of clinical dentistry. That's what I did. That's what I did. Yeah. I went and I spoke for Invisalign in 50 cities, Straumann for 50 cities. I've published in every, major dental publication. I've wrote a best-selling book. I've started 20 businesses. I mean, there's so many opportunities that our amazing industry has to offer. You have to find happiness in it in the first place. And I'm just so proud and happy to be here and representing our industry. And for anybody who's not happy and it hasn't found that playtime, just know that you have to explore it, open your mind. It's everywhere. You just have to look for it.
Absolutely. That's beautifully said. It's beautifully said. And I think what you mentioned was just the options, if you're open to it, just opening your eyes to all the opportunities around you. Could you speak for a minute to how this perspective has benefited you in business?
Of the being able to do whatever I want to do in this industry, like creating?
Yeah.
In which business?
Just in general. Because I think one of the greatest strengths that you show, and is just what I see in you, is this ability to think outside the box and just go with your gut and see what feels good. I mean, is that true? Is that the correct perspective on my side?
It's 100% true. I mean, so re-ask the question. Can you re-ask the question? I want to answer it right.
I think that there's this misconception in business, and that is that someone else has the secret, that there's this secret out there that we have to follow someone else's rules, and that sometimes when your gut is speaking to you, that you don't trust it as much. And when something feels uncomfortable, you force it because someone told you that's the right way to do something. What we need right now is to leverage happiness in the workplace. If you're a leader or manager struggling with retaining team members and frustrated with the current staffing shortage, group coaching for your team is your solution. Christina Unrein and I have partnered together to build a 10-week group coaching workshop for your business, focused directly on increasing happiness and positivity in the workplace. How do we do this? We use the awesome systems you already have in place and support your team members directly with tools for a mindset shift for awareness of their individual power to own their own happiness. Learn how to cultivate accountability for happiness in your team members and guide them with the tools to own their empowerment at work. Turning around workplace culture starts with individuals, and Christina and I are here for you. Email me at tarryn@thebizofhappiness.com if you are ready to make workplace happiness your competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Something I admire in you just from afar is that you do tap into this inner wisdom that feels good. It seems to me like you tap into the emotional side of things and say, is this a hell yes? Do I really want to do this or not? And then it so beautifully brings in enormous business success.
Yeah.
And that's really what I was wondering. Is that just my perception, or is this a real superpower of yours in business?
Yeah. So no, I think that it could be perception, and here's the thing. I have a whole bunch of ideas. Some ideas make it all the way to the future. I mean, like to the top, and some ideas fizzle out. Like, you probably didn't know that before the pandemic, I launched I went and invested in a CBD factory. Right? You probably didn't know that. And I thought that it was the best idea ever because dentistry hadn't seen it. And guess what? I lost so much money and spent so much time, but you didn't see that. But it was a great idea. Dentistry wasn't ready. Like, they weren't ready. And I tried and I gave it my all. And like, I can have the best ideas in the world and best thoughts in the world, doesn't mean they're going to come true. And so I think while I can have some really good ideas, I have some really good ideas that failed too.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I'll tell you something, I'm not afraid to fail. And I'm not afraid to tell everybody I failed too, and tell everybody exactly how I did it. And I'm that much better because I had a failed experience. And I really don't feel that I truly failed unless I get down on myself and I keep it inside to myself. I think it's actually not a fail. I think it's a win because I helped other people to not fail like I did. Yeah. Right. And I learned something from that fail. So it's not a true failure. And so the things that people see, here's the thing, like, not everybody is on like my big Facebook group. Not everybody is on my Facebook page where I like literally tell my life all the time. Some people are on other channels, right? Like, I think we may have met through LinkedIn. And I tell a lot of vulnerable stories through LinkedIn. I think it's super important to not only share your wins, right? Yeah. You get to share your struggles. And that's what I'm all about. But the businesses that really succeed, a lot of people know about them, right? Because they're coming to them, they're a part of them, they're experiencing about them. But to answer your question, though, I think outside the box. I color outside the lines, and some of my really good ideas, they stick and they work really well, but I'm not afraid to fail. Yeah. I am not afraid to fail. And I have a lot of ideas. Not all of them work, and it's okay. Just say it, like, it's fine. But I enjoy everything. And this industry has allowed me to do so many different things. It's allowed me to spread my wings. And now I've gotten to the point in my career, as of probably a couple of years ago, where the industry has embraced Elijah. Because at first they didn't. I was this loud, got music, got a boombox with me, and I'm got my hat on backwards, got tattoos, and people weren't used to that. Like, that's not normal in dentistry. You wear a suit, you dress up nice, you go to class, you go to dinner. Hopefully, you just have one glass of wine and nobody sees you. Like, but I'm like, this is not real life. Give me a tank top. Let me show my tats. Let me angle my hat a little bit and be myself. Let me wear my colorful shoes.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to go back to our couple of friends that we know or our spouse, and we're going to hang out and we're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh. We're going to wear what we want to wear, and I felt that was super important to bring that to the industry. Like, be you. Stop being embarrassed. You want to wear purple hair? You want to cut your hair short? Cut it. You want tattoos on both arms? Get tattoos on both arms. And if you want to dress nice, then dress nice. I can dress up. I can dress down. But at the end of the day, I'm myself. And if I have an outside of the box business idea and I think it's going to hit, I'm going for it. And I'm not scared. I'm not scared. The cool part of this now is that I now have the industry that I feel has fully embraced me and allowed me to do that. And I'll tell you the number one reason that that's happened. It's because I've focused my energy on helping people that are just starting. And I give 90%, and I help people. And I've helped so many people, thousands of people, that some of those people have made it, not just made it, but made it to the top, right? And instead of focus, like many people do, focus so much on getting in with the highest people in the industry and trying to prove themselves time and time and time again. I didn't focus my time up here. I focused my time on the people that needed me the most. I focused my time on helping people that needed to hear my experiences and how I failed and how I made it to where I did. And you know what? Enough of those people climbed up that ladder of life, and they whispered in those people's ear and said, guess what happened? And when enough people knock on that door, the door's open. And that's what happened to me. And now I feel like I'm able to do whatever and to help more people now that people's ears are open. It's been a great run. It's been a great experience. I can't wait for the future, really. And when this pandemic is over, it's game over. Like, oh, I can't, the stuff I have in store, watch out. Some of it might fail, but it's exciting.
I'll tell you, your optimism and excitement is infectious. It really is. It's awesome. It's awesome to be a part of. So what do you think is your superpower then?
My superpower, I would say confidence, and my confidence, and my ability to see the future and envision things, right? That's it. Like I can envision people. I can see the best in people, right? Somebody might not even see something in themselves, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I have an idea, and they'll run with it. And then since I'm so confident in them, it gives them their own confidence to spread their wings, and then they do it, right? Or like, oh my gosh, you need to work together. This is a thing. Go do it, that's right? Cool. Like my friend Carlos Rodriguez, right? He was a dental hygienist, professional stand-up comedian. And I'm like, do this in dentistry. What are you doing? Now he's headlining all the major events, like huge. And I hooked him up with Sandy Lee, another podcaster, and she's hilarious. They've been doing a podcast, Off Your Flosser, for like 2.5, 3 years. And they're like, so I'm like that, all connecting people, seeing the best in people. I think that that's my superpower. That's
really cool. What is your definition of happiness?
What is my definition? I mean, serotonin, a smile, serotonin. Everybody, most people know what not happy is, right? Sad, depressed, rock bottom. I've been there twice in my life, right? Happiness is the opposite. Happiness is excited to wake up, super excited for the day, smiling, the serotonin that's running in your brain, right? That's happiness to me. Not sad. I'm happy 95% of the time,
Do you think it's interesting when you say you're happy 95% of the time? Do you think that happiness is a choice?
Do I think that happiness is a choice? For most people, yes. I'm very fortunate that I do not suffer with depression, because depression is real for people and they don't have a choice, right? They have to seek medication or they have to get out of their rut, right? I don't suffer from depression, thank God, but I have been depressed before and I know what it feels like. And so, but I'm happy that I've been depressed because I can help people out the rut, right? I can say I have been there, right? I know what it feels like. And so it's a great feeling to be able to know what that feels like.
Yeah. So what is your greatest challenge right now?
My greatest challenge right now, pandemic.
Yes, right now.
Pandemic, but I also feel that challenge is an opportunity. Yeah. A lot of people were frozen during the pandemic and just didn't do anything, and a lot of businesses tanked. But the challenge is the pandemic for sure. But I'm used to pivoting. I don't know if you ever see the football players, like, they're running, and they, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's definitely the challenge is the pandemic and the uncertainty. And it's not as much me, it's the people that are like, I'm not scared. It's the people that are scared. My businesses thrive on people, right? And so the pandemic is the challenge right now, but I'm getting through it. Businesses are doing, good, and some better than others. But I would say the pandemic is the biggest challenge.
Now, you mentioned earlier that some of our greatest lessons come from failures. And although this is not a failure, we're talking about challenges, not failures. What are the greatest lessons that you've received from this challenge that you're in?
Yeah. Man, greatest lessons. I think the greatest lesson would be creating my bubble. I'm an extremely positive person, right? And I usually just always shake anything off, right? Like, whatever, I'm good. Look at the positive side. But I learned to create a solid, sturdy bubble outside of me, because during the pandemic, I let somebody get to me during the pandemic, and I got to a rock bottom that I hadn't had since, like, I'm 34 right now. I hadn't had a rock bottom since since I was 21 years old in college, when I was told I was overdiagnosed with my neck condition and I could have played football all along and wrestled. So that was bad.
Yeah.
Another story. So I learned after I made it out to just put up a wall so strong that nobody can, and I don't put up a wall from people. I put up a positive wall, to where if anybody tries to infiltrate that positive wall, I bubble bounce them out so quick, and I don't let them in. Huh. And so, like, that was that was probably the biggest learning lesson for me, is like, don't let anybody get to you, because nobody really got to me anyhow. And I would always, I talk about it from the stage, but it happened to me. It happened to me, right? And I'm like, shit. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, right? I'm talking about it from I'm teaching it everywhere, and it happened to me. And so I learned to just bounce the negativity out. Don't let, you can feel bad for somebody because they just, it's them, it's inside them, and they're just miserable inside.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest lesson.
Their own way. That's fascinating. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that many people have learned that as well, but it's really inspirational to hear someone with so much positivity and optimism share the importance of creating those boundaries. Yeah. Yes. So, I could talk to you all day. This is amazing. I can't believe how much time has flown by already. But before I ask you our final question, Elijah, please tell us a little bit. You've got a couple of really exciting things coming up. You have a dental festival happening again next summer. Am I right? Something we can all look forward to. Yes. What is that dental festival?
Yeah, so that was my pivot. So that was my biggest pivot. So imagine having a business. I know there's a lot of dentists that are on here. You have a business. Well, imagine having a business that's for dentists and their teams on cruise ships, and then the pandemic hits.
Yeah, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. This is a real story, by the way. So the cruises stop, okay, and events stop. And it was bad. And by the way, that business was thriving. Every year we grew 30 to 33%. The repeat business was off the charts. We had over a 90% rating every single experience that we went on, every voyage. And I had to pivot. So I'm like, okay, what can I do on land that will top the cruise? And so I'm like, and it can't just be like this conference on land. So I'm like, all right, look, in the world of like DSOs, they're very successful. They have a whole bunch of, there's really smart business people, and I get it. It's like economies of scale. I want to see how I can like duplicate that model in the conference world. So I went out and I created the Dental Festival, which is not the same as Smiles at Sea. What is it? I'm like, okay, as a dental professional myself who needs to keep up with their license, I actually still am an active I have my active license in Hawaii as a dental hygienist. And I said, how do I keep this license up? I have to have CE, so I have to go to conferences, but there's so many options. A lot of the major conferences, they're dying. They've been dying for 5 years. The numbers, the attendance are dying because people are looking for an experience. Mm-hmm. They want a fun experience. Well, I already had that. That was on a cruise ship. Thing is, 20% of the entire world has been on a cruise. People are afraid to cruise. Titanic messed it up for everybody. Ships aren't going down, right? And so whatever. So land, huge opportunity. So here's what I thought. There's conferences all over. A lot of conferences are dying, but conferences are also trying to be built and created. Why don't I help conferences that are going on the downswing? And why don't I help conferences that are getting started? And why don't I bring them all to the same location? They happen different states, different times. I'm going to bring them all under one festival. So I created the Dental Festival. And essentially what happens is so Nashville will be our third one. So last April in Miami, we had 3 conferences at one festival. This October, we have 10 conferences in one festival. In Nashville, we'll have about 20 conferences in one festival, July the 6th to the 10th. And what happens is like the conference owners, they learn so much. I mean, I've been reached out to consult conferences on how to make their conferences fun, how to make it a festival, right? And so everything I learned on a cruise ship with the fun and entertainment and the parties, I brought into the festival. And so essentially what it looks like is if you are a dentist or a team member, you buy one ticket, and the ticket costs are regular costs of conferences. It's not like it's super inflated ticket. It's a regular cost of a ticket. You get one ticket and you get access to all the conferences.
Ah, cool.
So you get one conference a day, you pick which conference you want to go to, right? And then there's one central vendor hall, right? One central vendor hall. And the conferences they run their own conferences. Like it's all a separate ballroom. They have their own speaker lineup. They have their own check-in, like total separate. Then at lunchtime, check this out. I'm always starving for lunch. The time lunch comes, I'm like, I am so hungry. Always something so far away, it doesn't exist. But I'm like, man, the timeshare model works so good. And the vendors always want to tell everybody about their opportunities. But I really don't want to sit through 2 hours, 3 hours of sales pitch, period. 25 minutes, I can do that. So I'm like, all right. So what I'm going to do during lunchtime is these amazing companies that have good products and service, they want to tell you about it. Okay, good. So during lunch, the conferences break between like 11 and 1. And you go to 11:30 and 1. You go to these lunch and learns. You don't eat during lunch and learn. For 25 minutes, you listen to a company, tell them about their scientific breakthrough or their new product, and you leave with a ticket. That ticket, you can win $25,000 of prizes. It's like a scratch-off ticket kind of thing. And then you take that ticket and you go get lunch right at the vendor hall. And so it just makes sense for like everybody involved, right? And then in the evening, one of the days on Wednesday, Thursday, and the evening on one of the days on Thursday, Friday, I provide like a major keynote speaker, like big time keynote speaker. All conferences come together for the keynote. I provide that, right? Cool. We take a break for dinner, okay? Then there's an evening event. The evening events range, they're so fun, like karaoke, a comedy show, adult game show, scavenger hunt. I mean, they're over the top fun. And then at nighttime, we have over the top events like Boots and Bling, a country cover band, a black tie event, cool. A whitening ball, like teeth whitening, a casino night. We're in city talks with the city about blocking off the whole street and having a band out there, food trucks. And then Sunday Fun Day, there's no class, but I rented out Tootsie's. That's the 3-story country bar that like all the famous people, and I got bands on every floor, unlimited food, unlimited drinks, and it's included, right? This is a little extra. So it's included. And so it's just a blast. And we're basically taking these boring conferences where you're sitting there scratching your head, looking at your time, texting everybody like, when is class over, to like extreme excitement. And you know what? It's okay to have fun. It is totally okay to have fun. And matter of fact, you might have a couple too many drinks, and guess what? The next morning we have IVs. We have IV hookups.
Oh my God.
We have IV hookups so you can feel the
to
best.
rescue you. Yeah.
Yes, IV rescue teams. We have massage therapists. Massage therapists at no charge. You're getting back rubs during class. You got your IV, you got VIP lounge. We have a glam booth. So we do like hair and makeup, no charge. Like for all, we have like 150 influencers that are in that booth. So we have like 150 of Dentistry's influencers. So we have podcasters, social media influencers, we have a row of TikTokers that are like famous TikTokers, a row of Instagram influencers, Facebook, Instagram, podcasters, a whole podcast row where people are doing podcast interviews.
Cool.
Because
right
you have
there.
150 influencers there.
That's awesome. You could just hear the excitement that you have about this. It's so exciting and so infectious. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Where can people learn about this?
It's thedentalfestival.com.
There you go.
Is where you can learn about it and sign up. The tickets are like we're dropping the tickets in a couple of weeks. So when this you can go there now, right? So basically it's thedentalfestival.com and they're all the way rock bottom price now. Then the prices, they jump up according, to time. Then when last minute, they'll be at the highest, basically.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's that business. And that's the one that I'm super excited about. And then the last thing with that business I'm so excited about, I got tired of renting out party buses and like the stretch Escalades and, stretch SUVs. So right now I'm in the process of going out and buying them because they're super expensive to rent. Mm-hmm. So I'm buying a party bus and I'm buying a stretch Escalade so I can pick up people concierge service like from the airports and take them to all of the Tootsies and the fun places. And then the last thing is before this conference, I will have a Class A RV. I'm actually getting it in a couple weeks, the buses. And so I'm actually going to be driving to all of the major conferences throughout the country. And I'll have a caravan following me. We'll go to the conference. I will MC a lot of these conferences, and then I'm DJing the main event. So it will be this dental festival party throughout the whole country, like the real
wow. Wow. You're going to have to document this and put it online somewhere.
Oh, yes. It'll all be documented.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh. Sure. So cool. Well, I have to just say thank you for it being such an awesome inspiration and for taking something like dentistry and showing the possibilities of just excitement and unique creativity in business that you can do. It's so cool. It's so exciting to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
And please, to all our audience members who are listening, if you want to find Elijah and follow him, please, the show notes will have all the details. But Elijah, for those people who are listening on the road, driving, how can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so this Elijah Desmond, you can go to Facebook for Elijah Desmond. You can find me on there, or Instagram is Motivation 501, and then LinkedIn, this Elijah Desmond, or you can go to Google, type in Elijah Desmond, and they'll see a whole 12 pages of stuff. So
fabulous.
Yes.
Definitely. So if you could please, as we sign off here, leave us with just one last sentence or insight of motivation and impact for making your life a happier place and for living a happier life, what would that be?
Yeah, I'll end with one piece of advice and then my personal quote. So the biggest advice I can give you is give abundantly, and give not to receive. When you give so much that you make people uncomfortable, your life will level up 100%. And then lastly, motivation and determination without procrastination is the key to success.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you to all of you for paying attention and for listening to this inspirational message today. He's fabulous. I highly encourage you to check him out, Elijah Desmond. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.